Hey moms, it's Katie here with my co-host, the lovely and beautiful Beth Easton. Say hello, Beth.
Hi, everybody.
And we are here with More Than a Mom. And the purpose of our little podcast here, or MomCast, like we like to call it, right, Beth?
I love MomCast so much.
It's really cute. The purpose of our show is just to offer support, resources for moms out there to tap into. We are all in it together, you guys, and we need to just bound together and help each other out. And that's really what this show is all about. We get a lot of our content ideas just from our listeners. They're, maybe they're going through something in life. They need a resource. They're kind of going over some speed bumps. They reach out to us, which you can also do so anonymously. We will have a link here in the caption at whatever platform that you are listening to this show or watching this show on. We'll have a link for you to fill out that survey, and it's all anonymous. Yes, Beth?
Yep, all anonymous. And if you would prefer to just shoot us a message, you can do that too. And we, of course, will not disclose your information either.
Right. Sometimes it's easier depending if you're, listening to us on Facebook or iTunes or whatever it is, to just click on message us, and that's fine too. We accept communication in all ways. So today I'm super excited because we have part 2 of our talk with Kami Kerby, and she is a facilitator of the Love and Logic parenting style. Yes, Kami?
Yes. Hello there. I love More Than a Mom. All my friends, all the listeners out there. I'm so excited to be with you today. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for spending a little time with us. Both Beth and I are really, really excited to have you here. We love the message that you bring. We love what you have to teach our audience. So just give us just a quick little description, a little refresher of what Love and Logic is.
Yeah, so Love and Logic is just that. It's the loving part and the logic part. Well, sometimes logic is lost in the stage, but practical tools. By logic, what we mean is practical tools that you can go home using today. My husband and I own a company. Our website is parenting.rocks. What we are is a community like you for moms, but also parents. Some of you out there, moms, have to be mom and dad. Mm-hmm. And I totally get that. And some of you might be, have a partner in your life that isn't on board. One of the biggest relationship issues is, conflicting parenting styles, and that can be really hard. For my husband and I, we do this together. I love that it puts us on the same page about the most important job we will ever have, and that's raising the kids. And we're huge advocates that each parent is that child's best parent. No one is going to parent your child better than you can. And we just give you tools to help you maximize what you already probably know in your heart, but the words to say, the things to do, to make your yes mean yes and your no mean no, and most importantly, to have a lasting relationship with your child that, when they are old, they're wanting to come back and visit you. And also when that they are old, that they're actually successful and thriving on their own and not wanting to come back and live with you.
Yeah, no kidding. I think as parents, we all want that.
Yeah. We want them to visit us because they want to, not because they have to or they need something, so.
Exactly. I love that. So let's talk about teenagers, Kami. I know, right? I may think, Beth and I were just having this conversation privately. I may think I have a teenager I have a 5-year-old, and
yep.
I kind of make those teenager jokes about him, but I know there's more coming. So tell us a little bit about teenagers. What are the common challenges that parents have with teens, and what tips do you have to handle those?
Teenagers are so hard, and it's really interesting. They're also so fun. Teenagers, I need to stop before I say they're so hard. They are so much fun. And it's interesting to me, there's lots of similarities, because I know a lot of our listeners out there have toddlers.
Right.
Buckle up. I hate to break it to you, but toddlers and teenagers are basically the same things. Teenagers have hormones. But when you look at their developmental stages, what is a toddler doing? A toddler's all about independence and autonomy. Mommy, I do it. I can, they don't want our help anymore. They're struggling. Right. They're pushing against boundaries big time. They're learning to be manipulative. So a lot of those parenting struggles we have with toddlers repeat again as teenagers. So what are teenagers trying to do? They're trying to decide who they are outside of their traditional role in their family. They're trying to define themselves. That's, coming of age. And I think it becomes lots of parents I see, biggest problems, conflict of personalities. So we have personality conflicts, power struggles. That's probably another maybe top of the list is the power struggles with teenagers. In this day and age, there's lots of opportunities for abuse of social media. Responsibility, teaching a child to work hard. I think that is something that a lot of parents want for their child, but in our day and age where we have everything at our fingertips, it's really hard to teach a kid how to work and believe in themselves and be resilient whenever they encounter, failure in a day and age of everyone gets a trophy. It's whenever they don't get their trophy for a mediocre job,
right?
Our kids need to be equipped with okay, you know what? I didn't do my best work. I need to try harder instead of being deflated and defeated. And, so that's, I love Love and Logic because it gives me the tools to deal with all of those challenges of today's modern teenager,
Awesome. Yeah, I can see where that's coming down the pipeline for me, and it won't be very long. I'm getting
it's
like the chills all over here.
It's so fun. I have 2 teenagers now. I have teenagers and a 3-nager. So
boy.
I think she's so they're fun though. And that's I just love it. I love them. Not to scare moms away from having teenagers because they're so fun too.
Right. So you don't need to send your 12-year-old away to some boarding school until they're 18. We promise it's going to be okay as long as you listen to Kami. What are key things to remember when wanting to be mindful in practicing this parenting style with teens?
One of the fundamental building blocks, the foundation of Love and Logic is a strong relationship. And this is especially important with teens because we work with teachers as well as parents. And usually when we're with teachers, we say, imagine that one kid, the tough one, the one that won't listen to anybody. And who is the one teacher that they will listen to? And usually people, unanimously point to that teacher that one kid will listen to. And we talk about why. We'll sit there and let's talk about why. What is this teacher doing different that, he's not having a problem with this teen or this child, and it comes down to relationship. That teacher that can handle that student without a sweat is one that takes time to do a few things. And if you don't mind, I just want to talk about 4 things off the bat. Let's give them tools.
Please do.
Actually 5. I'm gonna throw in an extra one. The first one is
bonus.
Oh yeah, bonus. The first one is bonding and connecting. What's one thing that you can do every day? Or actually 2 things. Make your pillows and device special because you're going to see them every morning and you're going to see them every night. And are those special? It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be drawn out. It doesn't have to be gooey. Just make it special. Whether it's, a hug, you say, maybe you say, my kids before they go to school, when I drop them off, they still don't have their licenses yet, thank goodness. But when I do drop them off at school, they think it's hilarious, and luckily it doesn't embarrass them. But I yell at the window, "I love you, have a great day, make good choices," and they yell back to me, they think it's hilarious that I'm purposely being an obnoxious mom. We have rituals where I play the obnoxious mom role, and they just think it's hilarious. They know that they're not allowed to leave the house till we get together and have a family prayer. And if you're not a prayer, that's fine. It could be as simple as a hug, and maybe you have some kind of affirmation you say to them. You are my warrior child. Have a great day. Or, make today the best it can be. Or, whatever it is, make that hello and goodbye special. We had a dad come in our class one time. He's like, okay, I leave at 4:30 in the morning. I don't see my kids in the morning. So we said, okay, let's brainstorm. What could you do to connect with them before you leave, even though they're asleep? So he came back to us with this idea. He said, oh, I found something. It is so great. I write on a Post-it note every morning, something I love about him. And have a good day, love, Dad. And I stick it on their forehead. And so he goes and sticks these Post-it notes at 4:30 on all of his kids' head in their beds. And they wake up, and it's become something that they just look forward to in the morning when it's fallen off their head. It usually does. They search their bed. Where's the Post-it note, Dad? So it doesn't have to take a lot of time, but make it count.
It's huge. The biggest thing that I'm hearing in what you're describing is connection.
Yes.
So
eye contact, physical
right.
touch, and a friendly word, something nice to say, you know.
Like, you're special to me. The ways of saying without even saying the words is probably okay too. But just showing them, hey, you're special to me. It matters to me when you come home and you leave, and these types of, occasions in our day.
Yeah. And the second idea I have, and absolutely, kids need to know that they're special. If you have a rocky relationship with your kid, the second tool in building a relationship is super important to listen to. Even if you think you have a great relationship, this is so powerful. Instead of telling your kid, praising things like, oh, you're so awesome, or you're so great, or, whatever it is that we want to say, if you don't, those are great unless you don't have a strong relationship, or if the kid doesn't believe in themselves, maybe they're struggling. Because if someone tells you that you're awesome when you're not feeling awesome, what are you going to say to yourself?
You're right.
Yeah,
They're just blowing smoke.
Yeah, you're so stupid. You don't know what it is to be awesome. Mom's an idiot.
Right.
You don't want, that is the opposite of connection. So that pushes them further away. And so especially with teens, because we don't want to put any judgment into it, we just start with, I noticed. Hey, I noticed you're wearing your Vans today. So I just noticed, have a great day, and there's no judgment. Oh, hey, I noticed that you packed your own lunch this morning. Yeah, I just noticed. And so it feels a little weird at first, but it's interesting. I can say both as a teacher and as a parent, the power of just noticing your child without judgment, and then let them decide what that means. Hey, you packed your lunch today. Hey, you finished your homework. Mom, I told you I did. Yeah, I noticed you did. And then let them decide what that means. Hey, I noticed you're working really hard, or hey, I noticed you got to be on that assignment. What do you think how do you think that you got that A? And let them do the thinking, let them tell you. So yeah, notice something about them every day. And if you want to add a question into that, you can, but just noticing and leaving it at that, keeping it simple is very powerful.
I love it.
Okay. The next one is, you got to remove the sarcasm.
Okay.
Actually, I know we're talking about teenagers, but at the age of 8, kids start to get abstract concepts like sarcasm. But before 8, developmentally, they don't get it. So it can be very conflicting for a kid whenever they have a really sarcastic parent. That, it becomes very hurtful, and it can be very damaging to relationships. Also, there's nothing more obnoxious than a super sarcastic teenager, and it usually pushes away people and respect. So I just say, keep yourself in check, have lots of fun, laugh with your kids. But if you're a super sarcastic family, it's time to get real honest with yourself and saying, hey, is this sarcasm putting a wedge between us? And lots of times it is.
Well, and that's actually hits home pretty huge for me, because when I was raised, there were several family members that weren't maybe necessarily sarcastic, but they like to tease and pick on and make fun. And to them, in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, right, it's just, I'm just fooling around. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing with this little girl. But to me, not being able to understand that, because I was very young, it was damaging. And I'm like, you guys I didn't know until I got older that they were just lovingly playing. It didn't feel like that to me. And it really destroyed a lot of my confidence, I have to tell you. So I can totally relate to what you're saying. It's a huge big deal.
Yeah, a lot of times sarcasm does destroy confidence. I mean, you think about a teenage daughter that might feel overweight, or, not comparing to what they feel like the beauty standard of today is telling them they should be. And you could easily hear them say to their dad or their mom, oh, I'm so fat. And, oh yeah, you're so fat. What is that going to do to that teenage girl? Or even boys. I mean, I noticed my boys, they're so concerned about their bodies. It's so interesting. And I'm not a person that talks about my body even, but the pressure on boys and girls and what their bodies look like and their appearance is so intense with social media.
So intense.
So when we are sarcastic, it really just does make a lot of room for insecurities instead of connection. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Have fun in other ways. There's plenty of other things to laugh about.
Totally. Be silly. But I think it's a big aha for a lot of people out there to understand that developmentally, these children, just their minds do not go there until a certain age. And you've got to be mindful of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The fourth thing is love them even when they're not being so lovable, which might be a no-brainer or sound cliche, but I have a really cool story about a parent, if you don't mind me sharing it. I'll try to make it quick. She was sitting in the kitchen with a friend, and her son had just gotten home from, I think he had been gone for a couple of years in another country or something. He lived out of state, and he was visiting. And she said, her friend said to her, what did you do to get through the teenage years? Like, your son so-and-so, John, let's call him Johnny, your son Johnny turned out so great. What did you do? And she's like, I didn't really do anything. He just kind of self-course corrected. Like, we had some rough patches in his teenage years that he ended up being, and he came back in the room. I get emotional when I tell this story. He came back in the room and he said to his mom, that's not true. He's like, Mom, don't you remember what you did? And she's like, I have no idea. She said, every night you thought I was asleep, but you would come in every night. And I knew I was being difficult. And you would come in every night and just tell me, I love you no matter what. And he's like, I still get emotional. I mean, you hear these stories and they sound so cliche until you have someone come through your class and tell you, like, real people telling these stories. And she didn't realize that he was even awake or hearing it. But when she was asleep, she said that was the only time I could honestly look at him and say it with sincerity, because our relationship was so strained. But I made sure every night once he was asleep that I went in and told him I loved him no matter what. And I just think that's so important, that some point in our lives, no matter how hard the tensions are, I know learning your kids' love language can be really valuable. And I don't teach the love language curriculum, but if you go online and do Gary Chapman's 5 love languages, you can have your teens take a test. And most teens love taking like little quizzes, online. So, and find out what love language they are. Both of my kids are very strong physical touch. And now that they're teenagers, that's hard for me. I am not a touchy, when they're little, it's easy for me, but as teenagers, I don't know, just awkward. Mm-hmm. But I've realized it's 100% me. They still want those cuddles. They still want those loves. And so one thing I started experimenting with, because I'm just like any other mom, there are times where my strong-willed teens are just, there's tension and there's, disconnect. And so I just went and started laying on their bed for 10 minutes once a week at night, just like laying by them and taking turns between the two of them, going to their room and just laying on their bed and talking to them, playing with their hair, doing, if they want me to rub their back. They're both athletes. So, maybe sometimes I'll give them massages and like rub their, their legs or their back or whatever it is. But that, just even that proximity of just laying by them and talking to them and listening to them, some of the most meaningful conversations have happened during those times when I just say, okay, I'm yours for the next 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Do you want to just sit here and lay together or what, and I had to get over the awkwardness of it because they're teens and just be present for them.
Totally. And I love the nighttime thing because there's something about going to bed on a good note, right? And feeling good about yourself and having gratitude and all of that kind of stuff before you go to sleep, that your mind just kind of simmers on all night long. You wake up having a much better morning.
Yeah.
So I love, and that's where that old cliche comes, like never go to bed angry, with your partner or your kids or whatever. And I think it's huge. I think it's a huge lesson. And I love that mom did that. So this boy just got to kind of simmer on this all night long. That his mom really does love him no matter what. And I think that's super powerful. So thank you for sharing that. I just think that time of day is such a powerful time for us.
Yeah. Well, and to alleviate pressure from parents, because there's a lot of mom guilt associated with the end of night routines. It's also one of the most stressful times of the day for a lot of parents that I work for. And if that's you, where you just, I'm speaking to myself, but also any other listener that struggles with me, at the end of the day is my hardest time. There is nothing that sleep won't cure. Like, I can go to bed and sleep cures almost everything by the next day. I just need my sleep. I'm that type of person. So there are times when I have to use the mantra, less said, best said. Less said, best said when things are going wrong. Save the words for the good times, and don't make it about, it doesn't have to be long, but don't beat yourself up if it's not this perfect ideal of what you think it should be. Let go of that, and just like, what does my kid need that's really simple, that's really quick? And it might be that they've fallen asleep and you just say, I love you no matter what. That is something that took 5 seconds every night. So I would also say at nighttime, don't beat yourself up with mom guilt if things aren't what you think they should be.
Totally agree. That guilt will kill you. I mean, it really will. Yeah. It destroys confidence. We can have a whole other show on that, Kami.
Yeah. Yes.
For real.
And the last thing is just the power to neutralize arguments. And we talked about this in our last show, so maybe I should just refer them to the last show.
It was episode 18, excuse me.
Okay, so episode 18, we talked about neutralizing arguments. Also on my Instagram, I have a highlight on neutralizing arguments. And so if you want to go to parenting.rocks, at parenting.rocks on Instagram, and hopefully we can put that link on the show notes so they can just click. Okay. But I'll have highlights on neutralizing arguments. 75% of arguments, and we mentioned this in the last show, come from the adults. And so if you think that your kid's argumentative, sorry guys.
Yeah, right? Here. Have a camera going while you're talking.
Apply it rightly. They probably have learned from the best of the arguers. So definitely go back to that show. But yeah, Love and Logic has been so great. Another thing that works really great with teens is choices, lots of choices. And I have another highlight on my Instagram feed of some tips and some golden nuggets to help maximize our choices. I know before Love and Logic, my choices sound like you can either eat this or go to your room. I just gave them a choice, what?
Yep.
And I think it's really important as parents to realize that's basically a threat. And what the purpose behind choices is to fill up their control account. And this is, with teens, it's so important to understand that control is a basic human need. And either people, and some people need way more control than others. If you know those people in your life, either teens will take it on our terms, or if we're not giving them little bouts of control within boundaries, they're going to take it somehow. Manipulation, arguing, throwing, whatever it is that they're doing to take that power, they are very skillful at retaliating by trying to take that power back, not caring about their grades. How many times have you seen somebody, especially a teen, hurt themselves to prove you wrong? I remember my mom, we lived in Oregon, and their winters got pretty cold sometimes. And they would go to the bus stop in shorts and a t-shirt. And I remember telling them, or my mom telling them, you're going to freeze to death. And they were like, no, we're not, shivering, chattering. They would go out in shorts just to prove their mom, I'm not cold. I want to look cool, So the strong-willed kids will hurt themselves to prove us wrong. They will get bad grades. They will, get detention. They will do all these things. And so what can we do as moms to give them a little control on our terms? Maybe it's, hey, you're in charge of the radio as long as you pick songs that are appropriate for our family, like go ahead and pick the station or radio station. Does anyone listen to the radio anymore on the car? You're in charge of the iTunes playlist as long as you have appropriate songs. Feel free to pick the songs you want, or feel free to listen to that music in your bedroom, or feel free to go outside as soon as your jobs are done. Where we're giving enforceable statements and we're giving choices. What do you think, this wasn't appropriate behavior. What do you think the consequence should be for this? And giving them a part of making restitution. Man, I told my son the other day, I got a phone call from his English teacher, and I said, buddy, what do you think you're going to do to make it right with your English teacher? And he's like, Mom, you don't understand my side of the story. And I'm like, I probably don't. But I do know that adult feels very disrespected. So I want you to come with me a plan of how you're going to make it right. And so, all these things. Oop, my daughter just came in. I have a friend.
Hi, friend. Hello. What a cutie.
Oh, she had a play date with dad. Apparently that's over.
That's okay. That's okay. We're all moms here. This happens to all of us.
Almost every week.
So anyways, I could talk all day. I love this topic. I would encourage your listeners to reach out to me. I do one-on-one coaching. I do small group coaching. We have classes you can come to. We are travel ready. So if you have a mom group out of Arizona, I mean, we go to Utah, California. We've been to, where else have we been? Colorado. We're trying to get a group going in Texas, so that's exciting. So if you have a group that would love to hear from us, we will go.
Awesome. Well, I that was going to be my next question, so I appreciate that you answered it without even having been asked. I was wondering if you were nationwide, and if, you know, we had a mom in New Hampshire, or if, like you said, Texas or Oklahoma or Florida, which are the states that MOMnation is actually open in right now. Can they tap into what you've got going on? Can they get support from you? Can they learn from you, even though they might be miles and miles away?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I would strongly encourage you, if you want to just do one-on-one coaching over the phone, I like to use the Marco Polo app. Have you guys ever done that?
No.
Basically, it's just video chatting, and it's nice because you can come back to it when you have time. So I do some small group coaching as well as one-on-one coaching through Marco Polo. And I've had some really awesome successes with that. So we can do it remotely, or we can organize a larger group and come out on location. So yeah, we love to work with moms who are ready for tools.
Awesome. You know? And I love that you're not, just focused on a certain age group. Like, it's really, 0 to 18 is pretty much what you're working in, which is great. Because, we come across different challenges as our children grow. Even though the challenges I'm having at 5 sound a lot like the teenage challenges, they revisit themselves just with a little bit more severity. So I really appreciate that you cover that long range, because we do have moms. I mean, we have grandmas listening to us right now. So hopefully they can also pass this information along to, their kids or somebody that they think this might be helpful for. So thank you again, Kami. I really appreciate you being with us. Beth, anything you'd like to add or ask Kami before we let her run?
No, I don't have any questions. I think this information was great, and I'm so glad that we got to share it with so many people.
Totally agree. All right, moms, we are More Than a Mom with Katie and Beth, and this is episode 19. I can't believe we're almost at 20. Thank you again, Kami.
Thanks for having me out.
Bye-bye.
Bye.